Coming to you from the Las Vegas Cup on Lake Mead, just outside Las Vegas. Here the teams find themselves competing with Mother Nature as much as with each other. Hello, everybody. I'm John Nicholson. The wind's been blowing hard here at Lake Mead. Yesterday it blew so hard we had whitecaps on the lake. There was no racing and no qualifying. The only competition, volleyball games among the teams in the pits. Today, believe it or not, the wind has calmed somewhat. We have racing and good competition. Miss Budweiser, of course, is the favorite. My partner, Steve Montgomery's in the camp of a boat that should challenge.
On the 1998 Ralph's Las Vegas Hydroplane Tour, Mitch Evans, driving Jerry Rice's Appian Geronimo, has been consistently quick, but not consistently victorious. Now, with 2 events remaining in the season, the question, bigger than ever, will they get that long-sought victory here in 98? Here on Lake Mead, as John pointed out, they will be battling the elements and a small but very fast field. So, could this be the day of Mitch Evans and the Appian Geronimo?
Heat 1A found the always favored Miss Budweiser and Dave Villwock up against what should be a fast Wildfire boat, and Steve David and Deja Vu, number 2 in the O'Doul's high point standings. Villwock decided to take off and run away. Coming up to the start, it was Steve David, closest to you here in the Deja Vu, trying to jump out and run away. Unfortunately for Steve, he started too soon. That was more bad luck for Steve. He had a tough time getting here on time in the first place.
Bad weather back home in the Fort Lauderdale area kept Steve at home about a day longer than he wanted. Once he got here, his engines have not run the way he wanted them to in qualifying, and that's been pretty much the story of Jim Harvey's weekend so far.
So Steve David and Deja Vu out in front of the pack in Heat 1A early on, but Steve had an extra lap to run because of jumping the clock. Now, later on in the very first lap, 3 boats deck to deck. Deja Vu closest to you, Dave Villwock in the butt in the middle, and Wildfire with Mark Webber on the inside.
Steve David was in the picture, but not really in the race as a result of jumping the gun. But on the inside, Kim Gregory's brand new Wildfire was giving Budweiser a very good race at this point. Now, the Bud at the exit pin, as he often does, legs it out to a big lead.
Dave Villwock would make that lead stand up for Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser team, as he so often does. Here he is, coming across the finish line. The water not too rough at that point in the day on Lake Mead. So your Heat 1A winner was Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser. Mark Webber finishing second in Kim Gregory's Wildfire. And Steve David was third in Jim Harvey's Deja Vu. And it turned out that jumping the start really didn't hurt him. He still picked up 225 points to add to his second place standing in the O'Doul's high point standings. After the race, I talked with Dave and then Steve. Dave, good start, tight around the first turn, then you ran away.
Well, Miss Bud's running good. It's got real rough out there, and it's hard to get around this course. And Steve David jumped the gun, so, you know, it's just a matter of Mark Webber and I trying to, you know, come in with a good finish. And I think everybody's trying to protect their equipment right now. The lake's real rough, and, you know, but it's smoother than it's been all weekend, so we're just happy to be out on the water.
When Steve went ahead, though, you knew where the clock was.
Yeah, I knew he was way, way over, but it was tough to see into the sun, so I'm sure he just couldn't see the clock.
Steve, a little early there at the start.
Yeah, I just unfortunately didn't get a chance in the boat yesterday to get any timing mark. So first time out, once I saw it was about a second over, I thought, well, the heck with it. You know, at that point, just go for it and do the best I can.
Got your points. You're building a lead there in second place.
Yeah, second looks real, real good for the season. We're real happy for that. But we got some other boats real close behind us, the U8 that's going to meet us in Hawaii, and a U14 and Pico boats. So there's a couple guys still chasing us. So we got to get points, and I can't make any more little errors like that one. But that's the only error this season. So it's done. It's gone. It's out of my system.
Mitch Evans and the Appian Geronimo looked like the fast boat in Heat 1B, but Jimmy King and Elam Plus were set to give him a good run. It was some of the best racing side-by-side we've seen all year. Elam Plus had the inside lane. In the center, it was Easter Seals Ski-Doo, Bob Fedler's boat driven by Jerry Hale, and outside, closest to you, the Appian Geronimo with Mitch Evans, the fastest boat next to Budweiser out here on Lake Mead. But Jimmy King jumped to the inside and used that to his advantage early.
Early in the morning is exactly when they started these heats to try to get them in before the wind rolled in. The race course at this point was fairly raceable, but you can see the chop beginning to build on Lake Mead.
Jimmy King was out to the lead at that point, but now we move ahead in the race, and here they are side by side. Appian closest to you, Jimmy King in the Elam Plus on the inside, and Mitch Evans trying to move ahead, but still at this point, Jimmy King had the advantage close to the buoys.
The Elstrom family's Elam Plus out of Seattle joined us late in the season, but they have run very, very well. And, of course, the Appian Geronimo fast all year.
Around the final turn, Mitch Evans stepping it up just a little bit, but still Jimmy King did not want to give up the advantage. Side by side, spots to spots, and they race to the finish line, and Appian just edging ahead to take the checkered flag in Heat 1B. Mitch Evans was the winner, picked up the 400 points, and in second place behind him, Jimmy King driving the Elam Plus. Easter Seals with Jerry Hale driving picked up 225. And again, I got to talk to the winner. Mitch, when did you know you had him?
It was right to the end, boy. Jimmy was running hard, so it made for a great race. I got a little bit better turn coming off the upper end out there and drove on by him a little bit, but it was great.
Right, Jimmy, that was so close.
Yes, it was. It was a good race with the Appian guys. Elam Plus here is starting to turn it on, and we'll see what the rest of the afternoon brings.
How was the boat running for you?
Good, good. It's real pleased with it. Need to work on acceleration a little bit, but other than that, I mean, you can't ask for much more other than the front of that yellow boat.
Tim Ramsey and John Walters and the Appian Geronimo crew had to put a new gearbox in the boat for driver Mitch Evans before he could run Heat 2A. So a couple of question marks. How would the new gearbox work? And how would the light Leland hull handle the roughening conditions here on Lake Mead?
Coming up to the start, Mitch Evans had the Appian Geronimo on the outside. Steve David was inside of him and Jim Harvey's Deja Vu. And up ahead, trying not to jump the start, was Wildfire with Mark Webber. There you see Wildfire on the inside as they came to the start.
Mark Webber was able to keep the Wildfire slow enough that he did not jump the gun, but he was way down on speed into the first turn. The Appian Geronimo on the outside, and the early leader was actually Steve David in the Deja Vu over in lane 1.
Coming around the first turn, Steve using the inside lane to his advantage. You can see a couple of small white caps on Lake Mead at this point. Now the Appian would move up on Deja Vu to the outside. Mitch Evans having to take the longer route, but with the faster boat. It was a very good race at this point, side by side, with Wildfire trying to catch up with both Deja Vu and Appian Geronimo.
And right here, Steve David's boat running the way it did at Seafair before that terrible crash put a hole in their season. He's running with one of the quickest boats in the fleet right now, and things were looking a little better in the Harvey camp.
Got a little loose coming around that turn, too, before they went back into the front straightaway. But again, Steve David got himself ahead a little bit. Now here we are later in the race, still with just a nose ahead of Appian Geronimo as Mitch Evans tries to come by him. Both of them get just a little rough again around the turn. Both light on the outside sponson.
You saw the Appian Geronimo hit a wave out there, or a roller, and skip up into the air, scraped off a little speed there, and once again the Deja Vu moved out. But now that top end speed of the Appian Geronimo prevails here at the midway point of the front straightaway.
Here is Wildfire chasing both Deja Vu and Appian Geronimo. Wildfire on paper certainly a faster boat than Deja Vu. Not able to catch it early on. Appian eventually nosing ahead of Deja Vu. Steve David falling back a little. Mitch Evans now found himself in control at this point in Heat 2A.
Steve David and Jim Harvey have a history that goes back several seasons of racing faster than they qualify. And that's what they were doing right here. But as the Appian moved out to that lead, Steve had to be concerned with Mark Webber and the Wildfire. He's actually gaining on both these boats as the Deja Vu bounces wildly. On the inside, here comes the Wildfire.
You see the Wildfire through the spray as Appian ran away down the final stretch. Mitch Evans, your Heat 2A winner. And Steve David, driving Deja Vu, managed to hold off Mark Webber here, finishing third. And it's another 300 points for Deja Vu. A perfect day at this point for Appian Geronimo. 2 wins, and Steve was down on the dock.
You're having as much fun as I was.
You had good speed on me. I tried to get the inside. You're running really great. Jerry and the guys done a heck of a job for you.
Steve, you've done some ocean racing. Is this kind of what it's like?
Yeah, this is. And you know, the guys, you got to give the Appian crew, Tim Ramsey and Walters and all those guys really had that thing dialed in. And I tried to get them the inside, but they were able to run faster on the outside. So we'll try a different plan next time and see if we can beat Jerry Rice's boat.
Mitch, right across the top of the slop looks like the way to go.
Oh, boy, I mean, yeah, it's just tough to slow down. You just got to get the boat to go over it, and fortunately, if you get enough of a boat ride, you can. But it's still terribly rough out there, and these boats are amazing vehicles. It amazes me every time I get it and go around.
Great job, both of you. Good race.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations again.
Best. Thank you.
Jimmy King in the Elam Plus got a shot at the Budweiser in Heat 2B. Well, after seeing the race, Jimmy gave Mitch Evans in the Appian Geronimo in Heat 1. Dave Vilwalk did not want to let him get close. Coming up to the start, Vilwalk grabbed the inside lane and missed Budweiser. Jimmy King and Elam Plus in the middle. And to the outside, Jerry Hale driving the Easter Seals Ski-Doo, and a good start, as usual, by Vilwalk.
We have seen the Budweiser challenged several times here in the 1998 season, but not when he's in lane one, let alone making a good start. So this one was pretty much decided in the first 500 feet.
From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, we see the advantage Vilwalk ran out to around that first turn and into the backstretch. Still a good race at that point between Easter Seals and Elam Plus.
You could see in that overhead shot Jimmy King doing a nice job when you're not on the inside. You have to hold your boat right on the hip, right on the edge of the wake of the boat in front of you. And this youngster is doing a very nice job in the white boat, running in second place now.
The water was getting a bit rougher here, and you see Dave Vilwalk handling it, walking the boat just a little bit. Elam Plus in pursuit here of the Budweiser, but Dave Vilwalk would certainly have his way in Heat 2B. Elam Plus around the backstretch on the final turn for the last time. Look at the distance between him. Here comes Vilwalk all the way on the left of your screen. Look at the opening that he had made in Heat 2B, and trailing now in third place was Jerry Hale in the Easter Seals Ski-Doo. Vilwalk heading for the checkered flag, took it with relative ease. Probably the greatest challenge for him in this race was dealing with the chop out there on Lake Mead. Second place went indeed to Jimmy King in the Elam Plus. And Jerry Hale kept the Easter Seals Ski-Doo going strong to pick up a third. Checking the results, Miss Budweiser keeping pace with Appy and Geronimo. 2 heats, 2 wins. Easter Seals 450 so far. Steve was on the dock to talk to the winner.
Looked a little treacherous, especially that upper turn, huh?
Yeah, it's real rough everywhere, but, you know, the crew did a good job, and this Budweiser, you know, came out on top one more time on this Ralph's Las Vegas tour. It's tough out here, but we're slugging it out with the lake right now.
If it gets any rougher, can you still go?
I don't know. It's tough to call. I mean, the next heat will tell us a lot more.
Dave and Bernie Little happy so far, but unfortunately it is getting a bit rougher out on Lake Mead. Deja vu in the water. Budweiser also getting set to go out. We'll see if we can race when our Speed World coverage continues. Welcome back to Ralph's UHRA Thunder Tour presented by Las Vegas. John Nicholson and Steve Montgomery. We're on Lake Mead outside Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Cup. And as you see, we've got some whitecaps here on the lake, Steve.
The wind has picked up. The race course has become marginal. We're going to tune our Motorola Racing radio into the Budweiser frequency and let you listen to Dave Vilwalk and his crew discuss the conditions.
Okay, Steve Davis at the start finish line. Appian's coming out of 2.
Trying to get set here for Heat 3A.
4 minutes.
You can hear them counting down, and so far they're concerned mostly about the other boats.
Steve David in 1. Appian coming to 1.
That's Lauren Sawyer, the main radio guy in the Budweiser camp. They do have other people on radios as well.
About the water, Dave?
Referring there to Chief Referee Mike Noonan, who'd like to know the driver's idea of Visit Raceable.
Okay, we didn't copy that.
John, that sounded like Dave Vilwalk saying it's really, really bad on the race course.
Breaking up. Is it unsafe, Dave? Now we can't understand things you're saying. Bad, very bad. Okay, bad.
John, it does not sound or look good right at this point for getting this heat in.
You guys set that on the dock? Yeah, go ahead.
That was Lauren Sawyer checking with the rest of the Budweiser crew back on the dock. And as you heard, the transmissions from the Budweiser itself, Dave Vilwalk, nearly inaudible due to the rough conditions here.
As much as you want to get the racing in, safety is paramount. We've seen far too many people go over in conditions not really as bad as this, Steve.
You just saw the Appian running down to our right. That end of the race course fairly smooth, but look up here where the Budweiser is now.
Come on back in, black flag, black flag. Come on back in, black flag.
Plainly, the officials were looking up there, too. They've now black flagged this heat. It's postponed temporarily, and Steve has hustled over to get the ruling.
Mike, I know you don't like to wave the black flag and bring the boats in. What made you decide you had to?
Conditions were just unsafe for competition. We could have tested or gone out there one at a time and just done some testing runs if the guys just wanted to run their boats. But the competition speeds, the kind we'd be running here, it was unsafe, especially in turn 2 with some huge rollers down there that the boats really couldn't navigate safely.
Were you hearing from drivers?
Was hearing from drivers, taking some of their input, but mainly going on watching what I could from here and seeing that when they get into that turn and get sideways into one of those rollers, it was just, they were actually swallowing them up down there.
And Ken, last week before you were commissioner, you were a driver, so you concur.
If the drivers say we can't drive it, then they have a go-for-it attitude. If they say they can't do it, they can't do it.
So we have 2 heats in. 3A is on hold. Whitecaps on the water here on Lake Mead. We're hoping for a break, maybe a drop in the wind or a shift in direction. Our Speed Road coverage continues in a moment.
Jim Harvey's Deja Vu crew taking a break as the wind and water conditions have caused a delay here on Lake Mead. Let's go to John down in the pit.
There's a story in the fact that this boat is here and racing in Las Vegas, and the story is of the boat that's not here, Pico American Dream. This is Bob Fendler's Easter Seals running here as Ski-Doo. Pico American Dream is not here because Fred Leland has taken the boat and gone home. Officially, Fred is quoted as saying he had burned up too many hot ends this year, wanted to recuperate, come back strong next year. But in San Diego, the Pico American Dream team had all its points taken away over N2 violations, and Fred Leland plainly was not happy about that. Bob Fendler tells me he got a call from Commissioner Ken Muscatello at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, can you come, bring the boat, fill out the field? He agreed to do it. So we have a full field, 6 boats here, but one of them is not Pico American Dream. And none running right now because of the wind. Jim Harvey taking a chance to get a little bit of a nap. Steve's been talking with some of the drivers about the hold.
Well, Steve, they decided this is a little more wind than you can race in. You agree?
Yeah, it was on the main chute, it's just fine, but down the back straightaway over there and going to the turn, we've got some 3- and 4-foot holes. I know fans wonder, what do you mean by holes in water? It's the difference between the crest of a wave and the next wave, and in between that is the hole. And if you hit a 3- or 4-foot hole with one of these things at 180, same thing happens that happened to me in Seattle, and none of us want to crash again.
Take one of your famous trailer naps now?
Yeah, now it's time to just lay on the trailer and admire, admire the beauty of Las Vegas and Lake Mead here.
So, Mitch, you're milling. You hear on the radio we're coming back in. Good call, or are you ready to go?
I'll tell you what, it was mighty rough out there. The far end, where you're going with the waves, the boat, as you turn that, just was putting water up over the canopy. It was a good call. We just don't need to hurt anybody or any of the machines out there today.
How close to raceable is it now?
It's close. I mean, if we just had a few knots of wind to lay down and get the wave action down a little bit, you could do it. And hopefully that'll work for him today.
You may have noticed that Las Vegas flag laying down a bit behind Mitch toward the end of the interview. The water has calmed a bit here on Lake Mead. We're hoping now to get Heat 3A underway fairly soon. Let's go down to the dock and get an update from Steve.
So the word comes from the officials. Let's go back in the lake and try to run 3A. A little bit of break here in the wind. The Appian Geronimo just going into Lake Mead. Miss Budweiser hanging just above the water. The Appian Crane now will go back and pick up the Deja Vu, and we're going to try to get 3A in before the wind comes up again.
Mitch Evans looking very serious. He's got to go head-to-head with Bud this time. Speed World coverage continues. Welcome back to Ralph's UHRA Thunder Tour presented by Las Vegas. John Nicholson and Steve Montgomery are at the Las Vegas Cup on Lake Mead. Appian Geronimo is the boat closest to you. Mitch Evans is the driver. He will have to face the Budweiser with Dave Vilwalk in Heat 3A. Both these boats, perfect days so far. 2 heats, 2 wins. Obviously, only one can come out on top here. The wind has calmed, or at least something has happened to change the situation. Let's go down to Steve Montgomery and find out more about that.
John, the wind didn't really die down as much as it changed directions. It's been coming out of the east and building up big rollers, especially up in turn 2. Now it shifts. It comes directly offshore. That does tend to flatten down Lake Mead just a bit. The Budweiser crew, the Deja Vu crew, the Appian Geronimo crew, just time to refuel the boats on the trailers. They're back in now to try to run Heat 3A.
Coming around, heading toward the start. Dave Vilwalk is to the inside in the big red boat, the Miss Budweiser U1. This is the boat to beat. 7 wins so far this year in 8 events on the UHRA Ralph's Las Vegas Tour.
Mitch Evans and Jerry Rice's boat, the Appian Geronimo, has qualified just a heartbeat behind the speed of the Budweiser on several occasions, making us think that he could challenge the red boat. But here, where the Bud apparently will be on the inside, it's going to be tough. It's going to take a good, hard drive and a couple of good breaks for the Appian Geronimo to compete here. We'll see what happens.
Both boats going awfully slow as they head up for that start line. By the way, if Dave Villwock can win here or in Honolulu next, that'll give him 8 wins on the year, breaking the record held now by the late Bill Muncy.
Both these boats were very early at the apex of the turn, going slowly. Now you see them begin to pick it up, as Steve David appeared to have it timed pretty well in the Deja Vu, but now the speed will be out front. The Budweiser is on time. The Appian Geronimo falls back almost half a rooster tail, and you don't make up that kind of an advantage on the Budweiser.
That can't be what Mitch Evans had in mind for this start. Look at the Budweiser run out to that lead. Deja Vu trying to pick up some water on Appian Geronimo, but into the backstretch. What a big lead for Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser.
Now he's heading up toward the end of the race course, which was deemed unraceable just a short time ago when we had to delay this heat. We see now it getting a little bit rough up there, but much, much better than when you heard Dave saying it was very, very bad. It does appear to be raceable now, and hopefully we're going to get this heat in without a black flag. And just as I say that, John, the Bud hits one of those waves and gets up in the air.
Dave Villwock walking the Bud sponsor to sponsor, but basically keeping it down. There are no white caps on the water anymore. That's certainly a good sign. All these guys, extremely skilled drivers, but we have seen many of them go over as skilled as they are.
141 miles per hour, fairly conservative for the Budweiser crew, but that's good speed in these conditions. That boat's capable of running at about 160 on smoother water. Steve David running in 3rd place in the Deja Vu.
141, frankly, Steve, I'm surprised at how fast that is in these conditions, particularly with the lead that Dave Villwock has over 2nd place Mitch Evans and the Appian Geronimo. He might want to slow it down just a little, but then Dave's so competitive, maybe he says, no, let's get this over with as quickly as we can and still be safe.
And again, you saw the difference when he came down the front straightaway, a pretty smooth boat ride. Now he's on the back stretch, which is a lot rougher, and this turn right here is where we have had the problems. He just doesn't get this loose anywhere else on the race course.
That went a lot better for him than the last time around that turn. Fairly smooth once he got out of the apex and back into the straightaway.
You see now as Dave comes down to complete lap 2, he has just about a 2 rooster tail lead over the Appian Geronimo, and these 3 boats have settled into position now with 1 lap to go.
Mitch Evans and the Appian Geronimo had hoped to take the Budweiser here. That obviously is not going to happen unless Dave Villwock has some kind of a problem. Steve David just trying to keep the boat going, pile up his points. As we mentioned earlier, he looks like he's locked up 2nd place in the O'Doul's high point standings for the season, but it doesn't hurt him to pick up some points at every opportunity.
About a half a lap to go now for Dave Villwock, who spent a couple of years living in Henderson, Nevada, which is right between here and the city of Las Vegas. A very big proponent of the community. Of course, he likes it here a lot. He would love to win a boat race here, but he has to finish this heat and do well in the final.
Handled that last turn again very well as he streaks toward the checkered flag and a win in Heat 3A here in the Las Vegas Cup for the Miss Budweiser. He crosses the finish line. Still a perfect day for Dave Villwock and the Miss Budweiser team. Appian Geronimo with its first 2nd of the day for Mitch Evans. He still is within shouting distance, certainly, of the Budweiser. And for Deja Vu and Steve David, a 3rd place finish in Heat 3A here in the Las Vegas Cup. Budweiser heading back into the dock. We will check the results. And you find a perfect 1,200 points for Dave Villwock and the Miss Budweiser. Appian Geronimo just 100 behind, and a respectable 750 for Steve David. Let's go to Steve Montgomery.
Well, Bernie, sometimes you got to be fast and tough, huh? Even the Red Rockets taking a beating out here.
Yeah, they are. It's just a shame, but we're just glad to be here and have Las Vegas events participate. That you know, we'll do whatever we got to do, and I think Dave is showing you that now.
Dave, was it better this time out? Raceable anyway, huh?
Yeah, it was a lot more raceable. The wind shifted and gave us a window, and Bud crew once again got the boat set up perfect for rough conditions, but we could get over the top. But I think the other guys were fighting a little more, you know, here on this Las Vegas tour.
Looked like a NASCAR pit stop. You hit the trailer and refuel, and you're back in.
Yeah, I think we could do that. We ought to start working on that deal, I think. Jeff, hurry up so he can go out.
So that's Heat 3A. 3B is next. Jimmy King gets aboard his Elam Plus. And Mark Webber already in the Wildfire. They will challenge the conditions next when our Speed World coverage continues. The wind delay earlier in the day. We're back racing now. Getting set for Heat 3B. The two fastest boats, Appian Geronimo and Budweiser, faced off in 3A. Budweiser was the winner. Right now, we're going to see who is going to race in Heat 3B. Let's go down to my partner, Steve Montgomery.
Jim Harvey's Deja Vu crew waiting for the crane now to take them out of the water. The three boats in Heat 3A appear to have come through without damage, but it'll take a little more inspection after they're on the trailers. Now, in the water, hoping the weather will hold for the running of Heat 3B, Jimmy King in the Elam Plus, Jerry Hale in Bob Fendler's boat, the Ski-Doo, and Mark Webber in the Wildfire.
Coming to the start, Jimmy King in the Elam Plus has got the inside, lane 1. In lane 2, Mark Webber in the Wildfire, and then it's Jerry Hale on the outside, Easter Seals Ski-Doo. Elam Plus up ahead of the pack as we head for the start.
We would expect a pretty good race here between the white boat, the Elam Plus, and the Wildfire. This is a brand new team now. Kim Gregory recently purchasing a portion of Steve Woomer's camp, so this is the boat that raced here previously as the Winston Eagle, the camel-powered Smokin' Joe, and the Close Call, whose colors it still carries. But Jimmy King and the Elam made a better start, and so far, that's been the story of this heat.
First time down the backstretch, Elam with a slight lead, but Mark Webber in Wildfire is moving up now and appears to be nosing ahead. We should mention, by the way, that Jim Lucero is the crew chief of the Wildfire team. He was, of course, the crew chief for the Smokin' Joes and Close Call for Steve Woomer.
And you saw the Wildfire hit one of those rollers we've talked about in that number 2 turn and lose a little bit of time there. As he regathered, it was Jimmy King building his lead a bit. Meanwhile, Jerry Hale back there running along in 3rd place in Bob Fendler's boat. And the Fendler team, by the way, will host us in Hawaii for our next and last event. Boy, look at the Wildfire getting loose on the front chute.
And look at the Elam Plus up ahead, going into the turn again on lap 2. But Wildfire appeared to be making up a little bit of space on him there as they come back out of it to the backstretch for the second time. Let's see if Mark Webber can move up on Jimmy King.
Several of the boats in the field are lighter and quicker at the exit pin than the Wildfire, but this old boat loves to run at the top end, and you'll see that here. It's a good matchup because the top end speed of the Wildfire will pull him up beside the Elam. Here he comes again now at the top of the straightaway, but the white boat may be a little lighter and quicker through the turn. Boy, the Wildfire again gets out there into the rough stuff.
A little bit rough, too, for Jimmy King, even on the inside in lane 1 there in the Elam Plus. You can see the rollers out there. Again, no white caps anymore, but still pretty rough, Steve.
Especially up in that one turn now. Here down the front straightaway and into turn 1, we have pretty good conditions, and the Wildfire likes him a lot. Look at Mark Webber. Foot to the floor, and he's got that thing up around 190 miles an hour here in these fairly rough conditions.
Jerry Hale and the Easter Seals Ski-Doo trailing behind in 3rd place. Mark Webber, not that anybody likes to lose, he really does not like to come in second.
In his early 30s, he is the youngest driver in the unlimited field right now. It takes a lot of years in smaller boats earning your way up to this level, and you don't find a lot of real young drivers in unlimited hydroplanes. Great shot here now, and you can see that top-end speed of the Wildfire giving us a great matchup here between a quick boat on the inside and a fast boat on the outside.
Very rough for both boats coming around that last turn and heading for the checkered flag. Look at this race to the finish. Jimmy King the inside, the Wildfire with Mark Webber on the outside, and now King seems to be opening up his gap just a little bit. Look for the checkered flag. Here comes Elam Plus. Here comes Wildfire.
Wow.
That looks like a photo finish to me.
That was as close as we've seen all season. You'll have to call that one, or the referee will, actually.
I called that one as close as I could, I got to tell you.
We can give 3rd to Bob Fendler's boat back here.
Let's get you down the dock, Steve, as we watch Jerry Hale come across the finish line. And indeed, Jimmy King in the Miss Elam Plus is deemed to have held off Mark Webber in the Wildfire. So 1,000 points in 3 heats total for Miss Elam Plus, 825 for Wildfire. Let's go to Steve. What a race.
Was that the championship of the state of Michigan there?
That's it. That was Detroit's best going at it right there.
Jimmy, that white boat's quick, but he had a little top end on you.
Yeah, we've been struggling acceleration all season long, and that's what we came here to do. But I think we better in a big hurry get back to the other end, or they're going to come and get us.
Might want to settle that Wildfire down just a little.
It's boat racing. That's fun, man.
The fun next is going to be finding out who will be the Las Vegas Cup champion for 1998. Boats getting set to go right back on the water. The conditions, of course, crucial. Here is Steve David getting himself set in the Deja Vu. It would take a big upset for him. We're looking mostly at Budweiser and Appian Geronimo, but hey, right here, you never know. Speed World coverage continues. Welcome back to the Ralph's UHRA Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas on Lake Mead, just outside Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Cup. The Miss Budweiser, the favorite, a perfect day so far, heading out toward the race course as we look at some of Bob Fendler's crew getting set to send his Easter Seals boat out onto the water. The conditions have been difficult today. Again, we had a delay earlier. Now they've calmed somewhat, and we are in pretty good shape for racing in the final. This is the first time, by the way, we've had a full complement of boats all out there in the very same heat. Up till now, it's been 3 boats per heat. 6 side by side will also come into play in the rough conditions out there on the course. Today's Alamo Almanac is brought to you by Alamo Rent-A-Car. It's drive happy time again. Ready, set, go.
The place was Kelowna in beautiful British Columbia, August of '96. High winds again threatening the unlimited hydroplane racing on the day. It was a day of stiff breezes at best. High winds later came up and threatened the cancellation of the final heat. Nate Brown was a member of our team that day and gave us a report.
If you wondered why we're on hold, boy, just take a look out here, and you can imagine what it would be like running a race boat at 200 miles an hour over the top of this slop. Unbelievable. There's absolutely no way we can run in this stuff right now.
The black flag did come out, eventually forcing cancellation of the final heat. As you can see, unraceable conditions. The Pico American Dream, driven by Dave Villwock, declared the winner in a season that would end with a national high point championship before his move to the Budweiser camp.
The Alamo Almanac has been sponsored by Alamo, where renting a car's fun. Let Alamo put you smiles ahead with drive happy deals and services.